You're listening to the audio production of Mastering the 7 Decisions That Determine Personal Success, an owner's manual to the New York Times bestseller, The Traveler's Gift, by Andy Andrews, published by Thomas Nelson and read by the author.
Preface. When The Traveler's Gift was released in 2002, no one knew what to expect. After all, even the bookstores could not decide upon the section in which the book would be displayed. Neither, evidently, could the media. As ABC's Good Morning America promoted the book, it began to appear on every bestseller list in the country. The Traveler's Gift was on the New York Times list in the fiction category. At the same time, Wall Street Journal listed it as nonfiction. It was self-improvement at Barnes & Noble, literature on Amazon.com, religion in Publishers Weekly, and general content in USA Today. Finally, the New York Times changed The Traveler's Gift to their advice list, back to their fiction list, and lastly to the business list, where it stayed for 17 weeks. Publishers Weekly, in a mistake they had never previously made, reviewed The Traveler's Gift twice, and, you guessed it, the reviews disagreed. The first review noted that the book was bland and uninteresting. Then, the very next week, another review, highlighted this time, called me an author to watch, and said that I had done an exemplary job and the book would ring true with a broad spectrum of readers. I was not really surprised by the confusion. 25 years of researching these 7 decisions had not made them easier for me to label. They do, however, prove their value every time I personally put one to work or observe them in the lives of others. Can you imagine? Every single time I have harnessed or watched someone harness these decisions, they work. Why? Because they're principles, and principles always work. What you are about to hear is not a work based on 7 ideas or 7 theories. These are not 7 habits. They aren't even mine. I didn't invent or discover them. I merely identified them and have spent more than 2 decades proving their value. So as you listen, be aware that principles work every time, and they work whether you know them or not. You've heard ignorance of the law is no excuse? Well, ignorance of principle is no protection from the principle. Just because one doesn't understand gravity doesn't mean the principle won't affect him if he stumbles off a cliff. You are listening to more than 25 years of personal research. I've come to the conclusion that the principles of personal success, parenting, relationships, financial achievement, are floating around just like the principle of gravity. Therefore, why shouldn't we learn them?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?